getting back. Here come the Thunder with numbers. Schroeder drops it off. George elevates and detonates here in Oklahoma City.
I like that for him. So great execution.
5 straight games of 20 or more from T.J. Warren. Count
I'm
the
happy
hoop.
to come off the bench. Well, maybe happy is a strong word, but he was willing. He was willing. As George gets it, and he'll go to the line for a three-point opportunity. Durant blocked. Diallo swats Durant. Tried to go behind the back. It ends up in the hands of George.
George. That's the continuation.
You know,
Playing with those 5 personal fouls. That front court of Atlanta.
and that's what you want to see. You know, and here, high turnover out front.
George with the stuff.
Another turnover. Thunder in transition.
Boy, Michael, they must have hurt you a couple of minutes ago. I think that you said, what, pick up the pace?
Absolutely. Pick up the pace.
And George by himself doing the work over there.
Stanley trying to overplay Paul George. George gets by him for a
But it
game.
was lost out because he obviously had a job and they were going to film during the winter.
George, will it count? It will.
Good thing just for an easy look for the Nets. Some ball movement. They only got off 6 field goal attempts in the fourth prior to that.
Paul George soaring high for the Thunder. KC chant right now. George tapped out. Adams. George drives. He's fouled. A chance at a three-point play. George crosses. George flips it in. He put it over Jared Allen. It's a 1-point game. Gets it in for Westbrook. 1-point game. Westbrook tosses. George, pump fake. 3 on the way. Yes! Paul George nails it. The Thunder go in front with 3 seconds to play.
Guarding Mitchell, who turns it over, throws it right to Paul in transition, and Paul is able to finish.
Just beautiful touch that he shows.
George again got that Paul in the passing lane. Goes right at the rim, had the angle, and spins it home. Just 6 out of 21, 28% of the game. As George dances, hand in the face, doesn't matter. Another Pierce shot right down the pipe. Now Westbrook had it blocked, I believe, by Favors, but there's Steven Adams saving it from going out of bounds. George, boy, he is on fire from downtown. 5 for 5 for Paul George. Paul George stampedes ahead, wants the 3, got the 3. Third 3 of the game for the Thunder, 2 of them by George. Ferguson and his couple fouls are back in. Thunder stays down defensively. George gets behind the pack and soars for the flush.
That historical run.
George dances. Paul
The
George.
OKC Thunder here. They come up by 4. George lowers the shoulder, takes the bump, and draws the foul and scores the basket.
Yes, they do.
And they're not getting a stop there. That's Paul George making sure of that.
The Paul George. Westbrook spreads the floor. George slaps away the hand of O'Neal and a whistle.
He's playing as good a basketball as he's played his entire career.
George already with 30 points in the game. And counting. Paul George from downtown. Yeah,
Injury. Yeah, that was his actually season debut.
Nice pass, better cut, even better finish by George on the back door.
Hard on Trevor Ariza just to let him know he's coming at him.
George drives, took a bump on the arm, and it's going to drop in for the and one.
The best he could do was a step back 3. Bradley Beal with a hand in his face.
George, that's all in fluid motion. Right point. Aminu, oh, came up and got blocked by George. George slithering, bounces, fades, and counted to go. McCollum had it knocked away and a steal by George. George got away from everybody and detonates at the rim.
Thunder have the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA. Deep attempt, good for George. He's got 5 threes. Game, 90 seconds gone by in the fourth. George feeds a cutting Noel. Oh wow, does the splits. And somehow is still walking around with one shoe. Paul George hits a three. George with 27. That's his 7th three ball. George, beautiful dribble, drives the paint, hangs, and gets the bounce. He's got 29. Here's George, puts it on the floor, gets past 2 guys, stuffs it on the freak. George, they double him on the catch. Timer at 5. Against Brogdon, puts it up, hits it. 34.
Paul George, as good as any scorer off the dribble in the league. Breaks down Gobert, and what an incredible finish with the left hand off the window. And they trail by 3 with 90 seconds to go. Mitchell guarding Westbrook. Shot clock at 8. George gets Mitchell off his feet and ties the game with a 3. Hard screen by Adams. George drives at Gobert and finishes for his 39th point. So a shot. It ends up being Thunderball anyway, and a breakaway for George. And a stop!
How about that overtime game? 3 minutes left. Down 2, and you go with a windmill.
The Thunder down 1, have a timeout. They're not going to use it. George with 5. George drives over Gobert. It's good with 8/10 of a second left.
Nichols okay on the drive, ball fake, able to come to the stop.
Noel couldn't do anything about it.
And now George, another 3.
Paul George was guarding Sabonis. I was expecting Sabonis to put him in the basket.
Now they run him off the screen again. Now George down the lane, pounds it down. Much better pro than he ever was in that 1 year in college.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody can argue that he's a much better pro. He gives him a legitimate chance at going deep in the West.
7 times this year they've shot below 40%. They've lost the ball, and that is a basket and a foul as George scores. Westbrook directs traffic. Bogdanovic guarding George. He's hit 5 threes tonight and hits his 6th.
Those early touches.
George flies all the way to the rim and throws it down. Different starting lineups, which is 4th most in the NBA. The Miami team that's trying to make a push is George with a slippery move, get to the rim. Schroeder trying to dribble the ball flat, waiting for the screen. Fears left, and he had it taken away by Johnson. The Heat with numbers. George, the only one back, trying to affect the shot as he... Miami has answered right back with 8 consecutive. As George takes the bump, that's going to count. On the follow, the continuation for Paul George. George fighting his way down the lane. It's going to drop in. And another and one.
Second in the league.
And he's a center. He's a center.
And George into the front court. George a 3, good, and a big lead now. Green to Leonard with Ibaka, Van Vliet, and Anunoby, and George takes it away from Leonard. And the layup by Grant.
His way underneath, and Adams swats it away. Now Schroeder finds a trailer. Paul George with the left hand, not a problem as they execute the fast break to perfect.
George going to work here. Physical against Matthews. And 1. Count it! McDermott trying to guard him. Off glass and good. Paul George.
Well, they got the switch they wanted. Off-ball screens, they're switching very little. On-ball, they'll switch a little bit more, but you're right. Paul George with a terrific 3-point play opportunity.
George gets past the defense. Layup is good.
Ferguson looks, finds Paul George. George gets a quick, clean look, knocks it down. 3-point game.
Poor gamble by Harkless.
Lillard a passer. And don't allow him to take you out of shape defensively when he knifes through your defense.
Boy, how about the hop step inside by PG? He tacked and his canter went right to the cup.
Only the 17th player to amass those numbers. He had a great year, did Lillard. George for the answer. Hits his first 3 of the night. In his 3rd year, that was the 15-16 season. George over Cantor. Cantor tried to help. Yeah, George, he's kind of showing everyone that shoulder's all right. He's not injured.
Full of guys he said who've been together the last 2 or 3 years. He said, I felt like I was the only guy on the block, and it took a while to fit in.
Well, he's fitting in now. They'll turn it over, and it.
Russell Westbrook, #1 in the NBA in assists per game this year, is
George hits a 3 and a foul.
Going to go in the locker room, and Collins comes in for the last few seconds here.
Here's George. Had a big first quarter. George with a 3, and he hits it at the buzzer. Big shot, Paul George.
They're trying to invite shot and take away the drive.
Westbrook hands to George, pivots, looks from the elbow, got it, and the Thunder take the lead.
He wins that battle, and here you see the space CJ's giving Westbrook. They're trying to invite shot, take away the drive. But now once Paul George gets it,